Hello, everybody out there, and welcome back to the Mebois Podcast, episode 21. I'm Josh.
And I'm Ray. It would be funny if you said, and this is episode 3 months.
And this is the first episode in 3 months. How y'all doing? So yeah, we're back in action. Not that any of you
Watch.
noticed that we're gone. But just for context, there it is. You're not my mom. I don't have to explain myself to you. I'm talking to them, not you. And also, this is how a schizophrenic talks.
Your mom's in the room like, why have you recorded with Ray in a while?
Dude, no, honestly, like, I mean, most moms are just like this, I guess. But ever since, I can't remember what year it was in college, but I guess it was like maybe sophomore year or something along around there when she drove me up to bring you your TV.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And like I ever mentioned your name, which I don't really, not because like, not because like I hate you or something, but just like I don't talk to my parents like that.
Mm-hmm.
And ever since I brought it up, mentioned your name, and she saw you come out, and we brought the TV up. I feel like every month or two after that, she'd be like, "Oh, how's Ray doing?" Or if I'm going to go do something, she's like, "Oh, are you going with Ray?" I'm like, "Shut the fuck up." I don't even like that guy. But yeah, moms just have like this impossible ability to do that shit where they just keep on bringing shit up. It's just like, all right, you know one thing about me, good.
It's sort of like that bit someone did. I forget who it was, but they were talking about how like when you start getting older, it gets harder to buy birthday gifts or Christmas gifts, just gifts in general. So when someone mentions something that's a little out of their routine,
oh yeah,
you buy them that gift. Like the guy's example was, I said I like cheese, so for my birthday, she got me all sorts of cheese, a cheese knife, a cutting board. I'm just like, I said I liked cheese.
To be fair, I'm kind of guilty of that because I'm just generally bad with gifts. So if I hear something, I'm just like, all right, I'm going with that. And I have gotten a couple of situations where you do that, and then you can tell when the person first looks at it, they're like, they gotta formulate their positive response to it.
Uh-huh.
So you know that they don't like it that much. But for me, gift giving is more about obligation than anything. So if I've already done it and they have to pretend to like it, then that means that I've done my job.
Fair enough.
Speaking of, it's only about a month till my birthday and Christmas.
2 gifts. Almost.
2 cheese knives. Can't wait.
No, you get the cheese on your birthday. You get the knife on Christmas.
Ooh, it's like having the presents under the tree, but you can't open them yet. But you can't cut it. I mean, I'm kind of a disgusting motherfucker in that I'm known to just bite the fucking block of cheese, man. I eat a lot of cheese, ladies and gentlemen.
Cheese is good. I don't know, man.
It's one of my most endearing qualities. It's how much fucking cheese I eat. Honestly, just as an aside, my brother has joked about buying me a cheese knife, which I don't fucking see the reason for. You just use a knife, but I do eat a lot of cheese.
It sounds like you don't use a knife. Maybe that's why he's getting you the cheese knife.
Yeah, let me just clear that up before I sound like a complete degenerate. I don't bite a block of cheese that other people are going to be using. I don't just like bite into the whole bar of it and then be like, all right, go ahead. I'll cut off whatever I'm eating, but sometimes whatever I'm eating happens to be a big old block of cheese. You ever see that picture of the really fat woman at like an amusement park or in a public place eating just a giant block of cheddar cheese?
No, I'm gonna Google it right now. Fat woman eating.
I bet you it'll
cheddar.
come up with the right picture. She's big and fat, and it's a big old thing of orange cheddar.
Oh yeah, I have seen this.
Yeah, that's me.
Wow, these 3 months have not been kind.
Yeah, no. If anyone's, I mean, honestly, I have put on a good bit of weight. But if anyone is curious about what I looks like, what I looks like, is
I looks like cheese.
But yeah. I also, that's another funny aside too. Is that last night I sent you a picture of like Peeps, because it's the holidays now. They have like these gingerbread men out.
Oh yeah.
And I sent Ray a picture of this package that's been in my local supermarket for like a month, I swear. Because like I walked by and thought about taking a picture of it last time I was in there, maybe like a week or two ago.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, three gingerbread men Peeps, and you know how sometimes Peeps dry out. One of them's all dried out and fucked up and smaller than the other ones. And so I took a picture of it this time, and I sent it to Ray, and I just said, "Me." You know, the classic meme where you just send something real ugly and different than other things, and you say "me." And
me.
He messaged, yeah, relatable. I'm trash. All men are trash. And he messaged me back, "Which one?" And I'm like, what the fuck do you mean? Like, completely negated my joke. But as it turns out, you were just tired.
Yeah, I just woke up and I look at the picture and I'm like, I'm squinting because I just woke up. So they all look the same. None of them look dried out and and scarred.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, they all look the same. Am I supposed to be looking at? And there was like one thing under them. I gotta open the picture.
You were like looking off the picture into something else. I had my 3D camera on.
No, because there was the little one. That's like the logo.
Oh.
I'm like, is it supposed to be that one? Like the ones on top look fine.
So from now on, when I send you pictures, I got to start acting like I'm a YouTube channel. So I got to have a big red circle around whatever I'm talking about.
Yeah, but you can't put the red circle on the thing you're actually talking about.
Right. Oh yeah. And like if I send you a picture of a person, I got to make their eyes look weird. So you click on it because it's like, that's not right. Speaking of YouTube, just because I don't know when else I'm going to get a chance to plug this, and there's no reason for me to plug this, but recently
we made merch.
That would be something people do too, right? Like they got 10 viewers. Like, wow, we've got consistently 10 viewers on our video. Let's make merch. It's gonna be worth it.
The merch to make up for the lack of viewers, you make the merch really expensive.
Sorry guys, the more people were viewing, we could make it cheaper. But as people with a lot of time on their hands do, I've been watching a lot of like live police shows on YouTube, because YouTube just has a shit ton of them.
Uh-huh.
And I don't know if you ever watch like Cops and stuff.
I've seen Cops, but, like in general.
Does Indonesia have police? I'm like reading off a script, and also I don't know what those words mean.
We used to actually get the show here on, I forget what channel, but it used to come on. It was,
what happened to it?
I stopped watching TV.
So it still comes on. You just haven't watched.
I don't know if it still does. It was on one of the smaller channels, so I don't know if it ever really had the viewership for the stations to like keep buying the rights for it to show here.
Right.
But I don't know. Some episodes were mildly entertaining.
It's like a like a very much American thing. I mean, obviously, most of these cop shows are about, well, basically all of them are about U.S. cops, so maybe that's why. But I feel like it's a very American thing to watch shit like that, because I guess it's relatable. I don't know. It's funny because a lot of comments you see are about people being people watching these shows in their homes, cuddled up in a blanket and high on illegal drugs, which is funny because that's usually what they're busting on the show. But yeah, I've been having a fucking blast because people are so goddamn weird, and these shows do a good job of highlighting that. I mean, the cops and the criminals alike, and the only thing I don't like about it is like, because you go from like a high speed pursuit, and the criminal flips the car, like it's a stolen car. The criminal flips the car as they're chasing him, and then once it's flipped, it's quiet for a second, and he starts shooting at the officers, and he starts running out, and they got to run after him into the woods, and they send out a canine, and they're yelling at him, saying, "My dog's gonna bite you." That's how all canine cops sound for some reason. And although one of the shows I've been watching is Southern Justice, so that's probably why he sounds like that. And they get the guy, and then it's beautiful. And then other ones are like they pull over a car for a broken taillight, and then they smell weed, and they say, "You have weed?" And they say, "No." And then they say, "Well, can we search the car?" And they say, "Yeah, go ahead." And then they find weed, and they say, "I'm sorry, this is more than an ounce or whatever." I don't know what this because over a certain amount of weight, illegal drugs count as what is that, intent to distribute or something like that. Like basically dealing, even if it's just for personal use. So they just arrest the guy. They arrest the guy for having weed, and that I don't really like. Like, I'm sort of I don't know. I'm sort of in the camp that I'm a weed apologist. Yeah, I'm sort of in the camp that weed should be a legal drug. I don't think you should be able to use it while driving, but it's like kind of lame to see those kinds of busts because it's just like, okay, well, that's cool.
People,
but then sometimes they have, well, actually more often than not, they also have meth in the car, so I guess it's okay.
Dude, I don't know. A lot of people I've met, they have such a weird attitude towards smoking weed and driving. They think it's fine.
Yeah, I don't get that. Like, the reason you use it is because it makes you feel different, right? And part of feeling different usually is you react differently, and in this case, usually slower.
Yeah.
So yeah, don't be driving and doing that shit. Like, and then people say like, "Oh, it's fine for me." It's like, yeah, people drink and drive and are fine and or do it their whole lives. It doesn't mean it's a fucking good thing to do. Yeah, I don't know. I don't. Wait till you're home.
Yeah, or don't go
or
home.
walk.
Or walk.
Or walk and get arrested by a police officer because they smell it on you. The best thing too is the like the drug sniffing dogs. If someone won't consent to the police searching their car, they'll have a dog go around it, and if the dog alerts to the scent of narcotics, then they have probable cause to search. And the dog always alerts. Like, I swear to God, they just tell the dog, like, "All right, mark this car," and he's like, "Okay, I got you, bro." Just starts barking. But yeah, I've been having a lot of fun watching those. It's also like it'd be something I watch before going to sleep, and usually my thing is like, I gotta have something on to watch, but I feel like I've told you about this before, but it's got to be interesting enough where I want to stay awake and watch it, but boring enough that I can still fall asleep.
Right.
So multiple times I've tried to to sleep to like police shows, but that shit is just too adrenaline pounding to sleep to, man. You got people yelling and shooting and shit, and I can't sleep to that shit. But if I can make one recommendation to people, and to you, Ray, because we haven't talked about this, YouTube has like, well, I don't know if this is official upload, so you didn't hear it from me, but
the cops just come bursting through your door.
Yeah, illegal recommendation of watching an illegal stream. That's 10 years. LivePD presents. PD Cam. That's a long ass name, but it's LivePD presents PD Cam
season.
It's got like 3 seasons, but it doesn't have all the episodes. I don't think. Like, but people have full episodes. They're like 20-minute episodes. But that shit is like one of the things I don't like about certain shows, like the more mainstream stuff that gets put on TV, is that there's a lot of bullshit. Just like added TV drama and strange cuts and sound effects added.
Right.
PD Cam is only footage from body cams, dash cams, and like security cameras. So it's literally just the cameras on the police. And the fact that it's so short, it's just like straight to the action each time. It's a very cool show. And it's actually hosted by a cop who has been in other videos that I watched before that.
Sergeant Sean Sticks Larkin.
Yeah. A lot of the shows he starts with, I'm Sergeant Sean whatever. But people call him Sticks. And no one ever calls him Sticks on the show. It's like when you give yourself your own nickname.
Dude, it's funny that I'm looking at like the difference in views of some of these episodes.
Yeah.
Some of these episodes have like 250,000, and then there's one with like 1,800.
Well, yeah, it's like your YouTube channel.
I know, right? Just the weirdest disparity.
Yeah, I don't know if they put descriptions of like the busts in the description or what, but some episodes better than others. But it's and they don't really spare you the details. I mean, like with certain ones, the host is like, "All right, I'm going to warn you, this one gets pretty intense," and it does get pretty intense. So if anyone's looking to have a good / bad time watching human suffering, but also human triumph, go ahead and watch that. And that's my plug.
So I'm just reading the description. So it's basically the same. It's like an about the show thing. Sergeant Sean Sticks Larkin hosts as body cam, dash cam, blah, blah, blah. And then it's just one sentence in the same paragraph. It just says, escaped suspect steals police car, officer shot 4 times, alligator on the loose.
That's all the same call. And dispatch is like, oh my God, what do I do with that?
Oh, Jesus, dude.
No, I mean, honestly, that's it's a great show, and I really like how, like, I mean, it says, presents an unfiltered, unique look. It is pretty unfiltered, which I appreciate.
Oh, okay.
I mean, they only cut out the part where the police plant drugs on the guy. But I mean, let me say that. I mean, I said I'm pro legalizing weed. I don't think it's really a problem. I think you could avoid a lot of problems by doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Specifically, violence from people who are allowed to, well, not allowed to, but the people who do sell it illegally now. But the show also really gives you a look at like the kind of shit that police officers have to deal with, at least in the U.S.
Right.
And like that shit is not fun. And you know, obviously, not everyone, not everyone is deserving of praise, but I gotta take my hat off to them because that's a wild life.
Is it like a mixture of police departments that are part of it, or is it a certain one?
Yeah, it goes all over states.
Okay.
So wherever the good stuff is, sometimes it'll be Tulsa, Oklahoma, which is where Styx is from the gang unit. But yeah, it's all over stories. So yeah, don't watch this if you want. Actually, do watch this, but if you're one of those people who just hates all cops, because this might make you like them, or at least appreciate them a little bit more. But that's my spiel for today.
From the comments, it looks like everyone in the comments is someone who appreciates cops.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's basically the ultimate. If you've ever watched, I don't know, like instant karma, thief gets owned videos on YouTube, which I know you have. Don't try to lie to me. This is basically the ultimate form of that. But sometimes there's a little bit more nuance and drama involved where an officer gets shot or I think even at one point a dog gets stabbed.
That's rough.
He was all right. Yeah, I mean, it says unfiltered. They don't show the ones where like people get like brutally murdered. But you know, they show a good bit. But yeah, LivePD Cam presents, or LivePD presents PD Cam. They got to work on the name.
LivePD Cam presents PD Cam presents.
Yeah, Styx. So maybe you can watch it officially somewhere. So I'll say go watch it officially. But if you want a preview, oh, actually, there's ones you can pay for on YouTube if you're a sucker for $1.99 each. So just search it on YouTube looking for the paid option, and if you see the other option, YouTube didn't take it down.
If you're a sucker.
Like if you literally see the same. I'm actually looking at it right now. There's 2 videos. Both of them are the same length. They're the same episode, season 3, episode 1. One is free. The other one costs $1.99. That's capitalism, baby. I got options.
Oh, dude. It's such a glowing recommendation to say if you pay for it, you're a sucker.
I mean, I paid for it. I didn't watch anything illegally. I paid for them all. But I'm also a liar. It's also broadened my horizons. I mean, I learned what Narcan is, which is crazy.
What?
It's like Narcan, which is something that a lot of police carry on them, and of course EMTs carry on them, which basically reverses the effects or halts the effects of
guns.
Yeah. I also watched The Matrix again recently, so I know all about halting the effects of guns. But bad movies, don't watch them. Watch LivePD presents PD Cam with Styx. But it basically just like stops the effects of.
Without any context, they just think there are sticks involved in the show.
Yeah, it's like the criminals got a big stick. Sometimes they do. Like criminals be crazy. But what was I saying?
The Narcan.
Oh yeah, Narcan, which basically like halts the effects of a lot of narcotics and pretty much can like stop an overdose, which is super weird. because like someone will be OD'd on the ground and they can't get them up, and then they'll give them Narcan, which like they shoot it up your nostril, they shoot it up your asshole, and and
it's pretty intense.
oh yeah, they don't have to, they just like to, and all of a sudden the person will just come out of it and they won't even act high or anything. They'll just be normal, but they're actually like in the middle of an overdose. It's super weird. And then like they take them to the hospital because it doesn't last forever. But yeah, that shit's wild. And then if you're looking for a pleasant experience, less a little more wholesome than LivePD, you might want to watch Southern Justice if you like to listen to Southern people's accents, and you want to see a lot of calls about domestic violence and incest. I'm not exaggerating.
Yeah, definitely not exaggerating.
Yeah, that's definitely my interest.
It sounds exactly what I would expect. So, but, I mean, other than
now you talk about something.
I was just gonna say, other than watching PD Cam presents, what was it?
Live PD presents PD Cam.
All right, live. Yeah, that
PD Cam.
Okay, other than watching that
with sticks.
With sticks. Dude, I know you said he's from Oklahoma, but the way I'm imagining him, he's got a Boston accent.
Yeah, I'm sticks. I can't do a Boston accent. I don't know. A Boston accent.
Other than watching that,
yeah.
What else have you been doing?
Oh, more about me. Well, I stopped pretty recently, but I dabbled pretty heavily into well, when I say dabbled, it was pretty much a full-time job.
Yeah, I don't think it's dabbling at this point.
Yeah. You know, I dabble in employment. I'm just not doing it right now. I've been playing WoW Classic, which is pretty dope. I'm sure. Well, I don't know, because we get 10 people listening, but maybe someone who's listening knows about WoW. But I mean, basically, it's just, you know, World of Warcraft, biggest MMO ever,
right?
I think. And so, you know, people like it, but the problem with any MMO is, you know, it's been around for 15 years and they get bloated, which is my like number one problem with MMOs. And then like when you're a new player trying to get in, it's such a bad experience to me to like you join an MMO and like you can just choose to be like level 90 and you have all these mounts and shit and you can do anything. It's so weird and you don't know what progression is really. It's just not a pleasant experience, and there's a million different events going on and thousands of updates and content. It's like, what the fuck am I doing? So they came out with WoW Classic as sort of like a response to people who wanted that, which is just basically World of Warcraft as it was created originally, with some updates. But I played that. Well, I think it came out September 26th. So I played it pretty consistently up to like the beginning of this month, let's say, and then I started to sort of back away from it.
Were you a big WoW guy before?
I'm a big WoW head. I'm a cheese head and I'm a WoW head. Not really. You know, all the jokes can't land. I had played on like several occasions. For a while, you couldn't like try WoW for free. Like nowadays, it's like you can play to level 20 for free or whatever. Back in the day, it wasn't really like that, but I did play, I think, during Burning Crusade, which was the first expansion, or like right at the beginning of when Wrath of the Lich King was coming out, which is the third. I did play a bit. Like I never got super far, but I played a bit by myself. And then the farthest I ever got, I actually ended up playing with my sister, who she was actually really big into WoW. She used to play all the time when like we were kids basically, and she lived with us. So I think she got me into it that time, and I played for like, I think I got up to level 40, and I played a troll hunter, and that's actually where I got my my nickname that I use for a lot of games, which is Zerbeck. That was the name. That was the name of that hunter. And which is actually just a random name generator for trolls. It gave me that, and I was like, okay. And then I just use that for everything because it's easier not to think about creating a name. Yeah, so I played for a bit, but never actually as much as I did when I played Classic, because I went all the way up to 60 in Classic, which is the max level. I didn't actually end up raiding, which is kind of disgraceful because I spent a ton of hours in there, but I just didn't really feel like joining a guild, which I think is pretty like, any ladies out there, if you want to know my stance on commitment, multiple guilds had asked me to join them, and for anyone who doesn't know, like raids are generally like 40 players, and it's like going into a dungeon in a game, except you've got like 40 people, so it's like a massive endeavor.
That's a lot of players.
Oh yeah, I mean, you can do it with some less if you're good enough, but generally you have 40 players, which is basically the equivalent of eight 5-man parties, to take on like huge bosses and such. So generally you want a guild for that. And every time a guild tried to recruit me, I said, I don't know. I don't want to be tied down. And also, like, I don't know how long I'll be playing WoW. When in reality, it doesn't really matter. Like, you can just join them and then quit the next day. It doesn't matter. But I have problems with commitment, is what I'm trying to say. And also the fact, like, I don't really like, I mean, in real life, I don't like them either. But in games, I don't really like groups. Like being associated with a certain group, because you have like the guild name next to your name and whatnot. Because like,
okay.
Because like people make fools of themselves online. I'm not about that. So I got to be associated with people, and I don't know what they're getting up to.
Right. That's fair.
But most of it was just like I reached endgame and I realized like,
Avengers.
Yeah, I watched endgame and I realized I should be watching these. I shouldn't be playing WoW. What are you, cracking your knuckles?
Yeah.
You fucking gorilla.
What?
Is that racist?
Not for me.
Not for me. He starts hooting like gorilla.
Hooty hoo.
Hooty hoo.
That's from something. I can't remember what it is from.
It's from Gorillas, I think. I mean, I've got a lot to talk about WoW. I'm trying not to make this the WoW show, but I've got more to talk about it than with PD Cam, which is surprising because I've talked way more about that. But like generally, I got to end game, which was like level 60. I was in the end game dungeons, and it sort of, you sort of start to think about, because I've played a bunch of MMOs, so I know how it is. Like you start to think about when you're going to stop playing. You know, because like it's unrealistic to play it forever, and it's a lot of time I invested into it. So it's sort of, when you start thinking about stopping to play an MMO, it's sort of like in a small way, like coming to terms with dying in real life. It's like a very small version of that, where it's like I've put a lot of time into this. I've been in it for a long time, but I've got to realize this isn't going to last forever. So especially towards the end, I was just like, yeah, I don't know what my commitment is to the game. And now I don't think I'm going to renew my subscription, which I think ends on the 26th. So I'm pretty much just out of it, just because like there's more stuff to do. Like I didn't raid and whatnot, but I feel pretty content in having. I played with my brother, by the way. We both leveled up from level 1 to 60 together.
Oh, okay. Wait, so what is the end game?
So end game is basically people have a couple different goals for end game. I'm starting it like I have to start a 5,000 word essay, and I'm trying to build up the word. Endings are
the dictionary defines endgame.
Basically, you have people who want to raid, which is doing these huge dungeons. Right now, there's only 2 raids in the game.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, you want to do those partially to complete quests and do these really iconic things, but generally to get legendary equipment, mm-hmm. or epic equipment, whatever. Really good equipment that you can only get from raids. And also in raids, you get this equipment that's really good, but since you're with 39 other people generally, you have to basically roll against them to try to get the equipment, because a lot of people can need the same thing. So it keeps you playing to get the best equipment. And it's sort of like any game. Eventually it's like, okay, I'm playing to get the best equipment, but I want the best equipment to play the game. What's the goal then? So there's raiding to get equipment and stuff like that. There's also like crafting and stuff you can do for some of the best equipment. And then there's also player versus player, which just actually recently came out in an organized way. Like there's battlegrounds and stuff where you fight other players, and you can PvP in the world. One of the big distinctions between servers is there are PvP and non-PvP servers, where in PvP servers, there's basically 2 factions, the Horde and Alliance. In PvP servers, in the open world, no matter what level you are, Alliance players can attack the Horde, and Horde players can attack Alliance. So basically, you get a lot of situations where you're just walking around doing quests, and you just get completely killed by the other faction. And which was something that I wasn't really, I didn't really want to do, because I'm not really a big PvP guy. But my brother convinced me to do a PvP server. And I mean, it created a lot more memories. I'll say it that way, from 1 to 60, just because there were a lot of times where you really had to think about what the hell you were doing in order to not only defeat whatever monsters you're going up against, but also the fact that there are other players trying to actively kill you. Like, I'll give you an example. There was we were on this one quest where we had to go into this ogre cave, because there was a specific ogre leader that we had to kill. And these ogres were a bit over our level, and some of them were elite. And elites in classic WoW are just like way stronger than things of its level.
Wait, so these are other players, right? Are these other players? Okay, computer.
Yeah, these are just NPCs.
Okay.
But we had a quest to go in and kill this ogre leader. That was a good bit above our level, but since there were 2 of us, we're like, okay, we can do this. So we were slowly getting through the cave, fighting our way one by one, and then we noticed this little gnome, who was a player on the Alliance, was like following us. But they were like hiding out behind rocks and like peeking at us, and we're like, what the fuck is this? So like we keep going, and they're still there, and they're on the Alliance. So we could fight them if we wanted to, but we were like, okay, well, they're not doing anything. And we keep going. They're still peeking around the rocks. They're just following us closer and closer. And then once we finally clear the way to the ogre leader, that gnome and two other characters that were stealthed jumped on us and killed us so that they could fight the ogre leader that we had cleared the way to.
Well, so the people that killed you, they were players.
Yeah, they were also players. Try to keep up, Grandpa. Goddamn.
Sorry,
I'm gonna send you back to the home. Sorry, I'm not interested in this topic.
I'm not familiar with WoW.
Right, so they were players.
Uh-huh.
We were in a cave. This all exists in the same world. We were in a cave that had these ogre NPCs that are just monsters that nobody plays. They just have AI. We were clearing it out, and then this gnome player was following us, but they weren't attacking us or anything. So we just kind of let them be. Then once we cleared the way all the way to the last enemy, basically, which was the goal of the quest, they all jumped on us and killed us. And then stole that kill from us. So we had to clear the way through again and then wait for it to respawn.
Shit.
Yeah.
I figured they would at least give you the credit for kills.
No. Well, because we didn't hit it. Who it's an enemy first and who's in a party or whatnot. But yeah, they stole that kill from us. But there were a lot of great moments there. We were clearing through areas and there was an alliance player who we can PvP, but we didn't. And we just cleared the area together and we actually helped each other with monsters, stuff like that. So it wasn't all bad. And, I did my fair share of just killing alliance for no reason. But I think it did make a better experience rolling out PvP server. I don't know. I mean, if people haven't played WoW, or if they have and they want to experience sort of how it originally began, I would recommend playing. Because I had a good time leveling up from 1 to 60. I mean, it took a long time. Even though I played a ton of hours a day, which I don't really recommend. You should probably just do a normal human amount. But
so is the game remastered or something? Is that why it's back? Or
I mean, you can choose to have improved graphics and stuff like that. There are certain patches that make it more digestible. But basically it exists because there's a market for it, just because there are people run private servers where people already play Classic for this. Yeah. And so I guess they basically saw that market for it and said, hey, people want a simpler experience, let's release. It's kind of brilliant, honestly, because you just release what you've already made and people will subscribe for that reason alone. It's basically a nostalgia trip. People are paying for the nostalgia, especially a lot of people who don't play retail anymore because they're not fans of it or whatever. Because I've played, after playing Classic, actually I tried a bit of retail just because I haven't played retail WoW in a long time. By retail WoW, I mean the WoW as it is today, with all the expansions and stuff. I'm not a big fan of that.
So this one was a subscription.
Yeah, they're both on the same subscription.
Oh, okay.
So people who have one can play the other, which is nice enough, I guess. Which is why I was able to try retail, because I wasn't going to pay for it. But I was like, okay, let me just see how it is nowadays. Right. It's not good. I'll be honest with you. It's not my cup of tea, especially after playing Classic, because I feel like Classic is more of a classic. That's it. Classic is more of a classic RPG experience.
Okay.
Whereas retail is sort of it feels a lot more like an action game, I guess. Sort of like a God of War type thing or something along those lines.
Okay.
For you normies out there. I don't know. I mean,
no. You bring up WoW, just making me remember. I think it was middle school. We had a teacher that ran a extracurricular after school just for WoW.
That's wild. He wanted all the kids to give him the best gear.
Yeah, he was a teacher that everyone hated.
Everyone hated him. Why? Because he was a nerd?
No, because he was kind of a prick. He's dead now, though.
No, he was a pedophile.
No, dude, honestly, this teacher has some wild stories. But maybe another time.
Yeah, I never had a teacher. I had a teacher who had like an after school played Magic the Gathering after school, but none with WoW. I'm sure some of my teachers played WoW, but yeah, I mean, I guess I don't know how much you know about MMOs and whatnot, but like I played a tank.
Mm-hmm.
Like, do you know about like classic like
the roles?
Classic roles in an MMO?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you played more modern games too that have the same sort of deal that aren't even MMOs really.
Yeah, it's generally you'll get someone who is ranged. One's magic, one's not magic. You get a couple close range guys. One's a stronger guy. One's a more quick guy. That's pretty much the roles, right?
Well, sort of.
But
well, like, so what, like,
depending
what
on like the game.
There was, yeah. Oh yeah, it could be anything, things. But it's generally that what you described there is basically the DPS, which are just people who are meant to deal damage.
Yeah,
that's the role. And in WoW and in most games, it's you have your healers, your DPS, and your tank. Generally one tank, although you get more tanks. But I played as a tank, which is it's not a specific class, but you can tank as I was a warrior, and as a warrior, you can sort of spec into being a DPS warrior or a tank. And so I played as a tank, and then my brother played as a healer, which are two of the harder roles to get when you're searching for a dungeon.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because if you want to do a dungeon, it's a 5-man group, and there's a bunch of elite monsters in there, so it's hard to do it yourself. Well, pretty much impossible to do it yourself if you're the same level as the dungeon. But so that way we only need to get 3 DPS, which are pretty easy to get. But this was like my first experience tanking for that long, and like in high level dungeons and whatnot, which is kind of difficult because in most MMOs, I think, except modern ones, they don't really do this as much, but it's still a thing. Basically, as a tank, you need to basically make sure that enemies are attacking you instead of other people, because everybody else is more squishy. So, like,
right, you're supposed to be the strongest one.
Yeah, well, the most defensive. And in WoW Classic, it's basically a struggle to maintain the amount of they call it threat, basically, on certain enemies so that they will attack you.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like it's honestly pretty difficult when there's a bunch of enemies to keep them all attacking you at the same time. You have certain moves to do it, but basically it's like mashing a lot of buttons to try to keep up, because like the more damage that the damage classes do and the more a healer heals, the enemy will start paying attention to them. So you have to like figure out which ones are targeting your party and stuff like that in order to draw them back in. Because basically the healer is just supposed to be healing you, because you're supposed to be taking all the damage. But if the damage starts being applied to like the DPS, all of a sudden the healer is healing them so they won't die, and then all of a sudden you're dying, and then it's a whole fucking mess. So it was a journey learning how to do that in Classic, just because it's like a bit difficult.
Mm-hmm.
But I always went into dungeons over prepared, just because I was worried that people would criticize my tanking. It was like going into high school on your first day and you're worried people are gonna make fun of your pants.
That happened for you in college on the train.
Oh yeah, but that was little kids. Which is basically what happens in WoW anyway. But yeah, but I'm happy to report that no one ever complained about my tanking, which was my goal. Because like if you start fucking up and like you let other people take damage, people are gonna start roasting you and probably quitting your group.
Doesn't WoW? I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. But don't they have, for the most part, a decent community behind it, like in terms of the players?
I mean, any online community is like toxic as hell.
Yeah, that's fair.
I mean, it depends. It's. I mean, like I was saying with quitting MMO is basically a small form of death. MMO is basically just a small form in the world. Like you got all types.
Yeah.
Like some of the lower level areas where like a lot of players were at the beginning, people were like very like spamming, racist and otherwise whatever shit in the chat and stuff like that. But it's like that's just what you expect from the internet. So
did they call you Frito?
Yeah. The Italian N word.
Tank better, like, Frito.
I just quit. Leave the dungeon right there. No one ever really gave me shit. The thing I do, like, I basically play MMOs like I play real life, in that I don't talk at all unless I'm talking to people I know, and I just stay out of people's business. And people can say all they want in the chat. I'm just going on my way, questing and leveling up and crafting shit. I was a blacksmith also, which is cool. So like you end up finding people in like the main cities that need your services to like craft some of their gear that you have recipes for, or maybe they'll give you the recipe because you have the skill that they need to make it. There's a whole bunch of that and like mining stuff. Those are like professions I had.
Maybe I should try WoW. Oh, but it's a subscription.
Yeah, it's a subscription. I don't know how you would like it, honestly.
Yeah, I don't know. I could never get into MMOs. I don't know what it is.
I mean, it's not. I mean, I say I did have a good time with it, but it's like it's not always interesting. In fact, for most of the time, it's not.
Mm-hmm.
It's sort of like a very like if you're not in a dungeon or a raid, it's sort of a passive activity. Like it's not
just sort of roaming around.
There are challenging parts to it, but for the most part, you're just killing stuff to level up or to get materials or whatever, to upgrade your shit or to get new skills. So it's like it's more about being invested in your character than the world, really.
Right.
Like there's plenty of lore in it. So like if you want to get invested in the world, you could. But I think what keeps you playing is like being like, okay, I want to get to this level because then I can have this skill and then I can have this gear. It's basically just a self-improvement thing, which is what implodes at the end because you realize, like, I'm going to stop playing eventually and leveling up myself won't really matter then. So why should I bother now?
Very nihilistic MMO.
Yeah. I mean, how I feel in my real life.